is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to episode 268 of D&E TAKEOVER. I'm your host, David, and it's just me today because Eric is graduating today, or he just graduated today. So shout out to Eric for getting that done. You know, had a great ceremony. Hope everything went well. I didn't talk to him all day yet, but next time on the show, we'll understand. We'll talk to him and see how that went. But overall, I know he got graduated, so I'm very proud of him and happy for him. So there you go. That's why I'm doing the show by myself. But it's okay, guys, because guess what? We'll be talking about some sports. I'm going to give you some updates on what happened throughout the week. I missed Thursday's show. We missed Thursday's show. So I felt like I'd do justice and show up on Monday and just give you updates of what's going on, give you my opinions on everything. And as of right now, what we're going to get into is basically some NBA stuff, talking about some playoffs, talk about the Celtics completely plummeting the Cleveland Cavaliers, pretty much expected there. Also, we're going to be talking about in fact, my Dallas Mavericks making it out in 6 games against the OKC Thunder, going to the Western Conference Finals for the first time, I think, in 3 years. Also, we're going to be talking about oh my God, I don't even want to get into it. Like the fact that it just popped into my head. I tried to avoid it all throughout the last night and a little bit of today, but it's all the headlines now. And one of them is that my beloved New York Knicks, unfortunately, got eliminated in Game 7 at home. They lost by, I believe, 21 points. So that is not ideal when you're a Knicks fan. But obviously, we're going to get into that. I'll give you my opinion towards it. I'm not mad at their season because if you look at their roster, you'll understand why. But we'll get into that game in a little bit. And also, the biggest shocker of the night, I would have to say, based off of just based off the biggest surprise, was in fact the Denver Nuggets losing to the Timberwolves. I mean, if you're a Denver Nuggets fan. If you're a Timberwolves fan, you're cheering this bad boy every single second that you get, because you're talking about a team that they just played better. And like sometimes you go down to it and be like, well, how did they win this game? And at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know how the Timberwolves won this game. They won it based off of like hardcore growth and hard work. And because if you look at the Denver Nuggets were leading by 20 points at one point in the game, I think at halftime or third quarter, and they were leading by 30 points at one point. And then all of a sudden, the Timberwolves, who were the away team, say, hey, this is my court. And they come back from a 20-point deficit to win Game 7 away, which just speaks volumes to this team and how much intensity and how much, and the mentality that this team has. They have a veteran guy in Mike Conley. They have Anthony Edwards, who's becoming a star in this league, if not already one, and he's like rising up to the occasion. You're talking about a team that's overall just complete. They got perimeter defenders in Jalen McDaniels. They got Rudy Gobert, I think a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. Cat in terms of scoring. They got a lot of guys that contribute in big in big pieces, and that's why they ultimately just won that game. So a round of applause to Timberwolves, because they were even though my Knicks lost and people were saying, oh, but the Knicks are just obviously better. I think that the Timberwolves and Nuggets game was the biggest shocker of all, because I didn't get to watch that game, unfortunately, but I know I was about to turn it on. And then I looked at my phone. I'm like, it's over? Like the game's over? Then I went to go check who won, expecting the Nuggets to win. And all of a sudden I see Timberwolves win by 98-90. And I'm like, what? There's no freaking way that this just happened. And I looked at the box score and I'm like, all right, maybe Jokic had a terrible game. Maybe they clamped Jokic, or maybe they clamped Jamal Murray. I look at it, Jamal Murray, 34 points, Jokic 35, or vice versa. It's like those guys dropped 30 plus in that game. And you look at, I'm like, how did the hell did they lose? And you look at it and then you see KCP, I think only like 4 points. Like, actually, I want to get you the exact numbers right now so I don't mess it up. You have Aaron Gordon, 4 points. You have Michael Porter Jr., 7 points on 3 for 12 shooting. You have, in fact, KCP on 5 points on 2 for 7 shooting. And also your bench points, a total of 5 points produced by one guy named not Chris Brown. What's his name? Christian Brown. Yeah, Chris Brown's a rapper. Christian Brown. So he dropped 5 points, the most, and that was all the points off the bench for the Denver Nuggets. At the end of the day, basketball is all about if you make more shots in the basket, you're ultimately going to win. That's pretty much the epitome of what we just saw in this game. And at the end of the day, only 2 guys showed up for Denver. And you look at Minnesota Timberwolves team, you had literally 6 guys showing up for them. I mean, all 6 guys on the Minnesota Timberwolves had 6+ points. They had Jalen McDaniels with 23, Rudy Gobert with 13, Karl Anthony Towns with 23 and 12, Mike Conley with 10, Anthony Edwards with 16, Naz Reid, 6-man of the year with 11 off the bench. Like, you just look at this team and they have pretty much a whole complete roster in terms of they have defense. They have defense on the perimeter. They got defense on the wings. They got defense in the interior. Rudy Gobert, Jalen McDaniels, and a little bit of Ant in the top. He's been getting a lot. He's been improving a lot in his defense. And then you look off the bench. You got 6-man winner of the year, Naz Reid. So you're talking about a team that has depth and also a complete roster. This is one of the teams that we're looking at, and that's why it goes to show that they're one of the top defensive teams in the NBA. I mean, we clowned them, and by we, I mean me. I clowned them like a year ago or 2 years ago when they made that horrible trade for Rudy Gobert, giving up 3 first-round draft picks, I believe, and their whole bench. And in the matter of, and this showed last year when they did absolute butt cheeks, but like you look at how they did it this year, they added key pieces that ultimately made their roster complete. And one guy, Nikhil Alexander Walker, Jalen McDaniels, another one. Like, they added these guys in free agency last year and ultimately have been a success mold for this team. So it goes to show that just because you make a bad decision doesn't mean that you cannot learn from it and make something great out of it. This is pretty much the definition of the Timberwolves season right there. The last couple of years, they made a bad decision, and let me take that back. Getting Rudy Gobert wasn't a bad decision now that you look back on it. The reason why it's considered a bad decision is because how much they gave up for him, or how much they gave to the Jazz to get Rudy Gobert. I think that was a little overpriced, and I think it still is. But now you're looking at it and be like, well, we had a defensive player of the year, and our defense just basically just stopped the Nuggets, defending champions, in 7 games on their home court. So listen, game respects game, and ultimately at the end of the day, you got to look at this Timberwolves team and be like, damn, they just got outplayed by a team that's more physical and defensively, and just wanted it more at the end of the day. And I mean, if you look at the Nuggets standpoint, they missed a lot of their role players that they had from last year. One particular, Bruce Brown, another guy, Jeff Green. These might not sound like big, fantastic names that are going to drop you 30 points a game, but at the end of the day, if you're looking into it, those are the guys that are going to give your starters a rest, like KCP a rest, like MPJ a rest, Michael Porter Jr. a rest, like Jamal Murray a rest. Like, these are the guys that are giving your star players a rest so that they can get like 5-minute rest, and then you put in these bench players that that can produce numbers. Like, Bruce Brown was one of the main reasons in the NBA Finals why they did very well. Like, once they put Bruce Brown in and they benched and they sat Jamal Murray, you're like, okay, they can still hold the lead, and they did, because Bruce Brown was that crucial to them. So I think at the end of the day, if you're looking at Denver Nuggets, I think people are jumping the gun and saying that they're over, they're not going to get a championship. Because obviously, when you have one of the best players in the NBA in Nikola Jokic, you're obviously going to be contenders every single year. I think one of the key things they got to look for in free agency is look for specifically just a bench, just more depth, because at the end of the day, you need that length and that shooting off the bench, because you're not going to get it anywhere. You're not going to get it based with this team right there. If you're losing in the second round, you know where your faults are, and that's one of your faults is your depth. So I think when you look at free agency, you're going to have to look at those key additions adding back to your squad. But what do you call it? Timberwolves win. Round of applause for them. They get it done, and they go into the Western Conference Final, which they verse a team I'll talk about next. They verse the freaking Dallas Mavericks and Luka Doncic, my boy Luka. I really wish Eric was here on the show. Actually, I don't, because he will bash my Knicks, so I think we can hold that on for Thursday. But in particular for this prediction, because Dallas Mavericks, I was thinking about this, like, once the Knicks lost, I'm like, damn, I have no one else to root for. And I'm like, usually that would be the case. Like, there'll be no one else that I would typically root for that would be in the playoffs that would make me want to watch it and be entertained and root for them. And then I realized, I'm like, I got the Dallas Mavericks still there. My boy Luka Doncic is still on the team, the leader of that team. And now the Dallas Mavericks are, in fact, in the Western Conference Finals, I think, for the first time in 3 years, when it's the last time that they versed the Clippers. So overall, I don't know if this is a shock, because I might be a little biased in this standpoint, because I had them winning, and I predicted that they were going to win this series, and in 6 as well. But at the end of the day, I think it was 6, but I got to check the chart. But at the end of the day, you look at it, and a lot of people had the OKC Thunder winning. Respectfully, they're number 1 seed. You got to give them props. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander balled out. Their young team, Chet, Jalen Williams. They got so much young talent, a great head coach, and they were a number 1 seed this season. and they're a great defensive team and a great offensively scoring team. They're all around great team. They would not. People were expecting the OKC Thunder to win this series, and I honestly, okay, you make a great argument, but at the end of the day, I was betting on the superstar power of Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving to get the job done. Obviously, going into the series, they needed Kyrie and Luka to step up, but they also needed another guy to step up, or just a role player to step up and drop 20 points a game. And that's been freaking PJ Washington. A round of applause for PJ Washington. The dude's been balling out. In this game in particular, he got fouled late in, I think it was 10 seconds left in the fourth quarter. They were down by one. It was 115 to 116. OKC were leading, and Mavericks had the ball, final possession, and PJ Washington gets fouled. So he's at the line, and if he makes two, they win the game. He makes both of those free throws, and at the end of the day, you have freaking PJ Washington, who wasn't there 4 months ago on this team. They acquired him at the trade deadline, and at the end of the day, you have that guy hitting clutch free throws for you guys to advance into the Western Conference Final. Talk about a W trade, and talk about a W addition to your team. Daniel Gafford, another guy, great addition to this team, adds in the rebounding column. PJ Washington looks like a freaking reincarnation of Kevin Love in terms of scoring and shooting. You look at this squad, and you have if you look at them recently, you're like Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, can they get the job done by themselves? And ultimately, yes, is the question, because they're that good and they've been doing it throughout the regular season. But when you get deeper in the playoffs and people are getting tired and fatigued and getting injured in some aspects, you're going to have to look at another guy to step up for you. You look at the Minnesota Timberwolves team. They had Anthony Edwards doing phenomenal, being the number one guy. Cat was also doing that thing. And then they had Rudy Gobert doing their job, the third guy stepping up. And I'm not talking about in terms of scoring aspect. Basketball is not about scoring. Everything's not about scoring. It's about how you play the game with the intensity, the physicality, the defensive aspect. There's other ways you can impact the game. And looking at that squad, you had Anthony Edwards being that superstar that he is. You had Cat following the lead. And at the end of the day, you had Rudy Gobert stepping up in some games. You had Jalen McDaniel stepping up in some games. So I'm saying Nas Reed stepping up in some games. What I'm saying is that there's always another option that can elevate your team when, say, one of the other options are on a downhill decline. And the Dallas Mavericks found that. Ultimately, to bring this back around, the Dallas Mavericks found that key addition, and that was PJ Washington. You're talking about in this game in general. I know he only dropped 9 points, but he hit some clutch free throws at the end of the day to elevate this team to the next round. But if you look at these games that he's played, in terms of game 2, he dropped. Wait, I'll get you game 1. In game 1, he dropped 10 points and they lost. Game 2, 29 points in the W. Game 3, 27 points in the W. Game 4, 21 points. Overall, he's been dropping 20 plus points in 3 out of those 6 games that they played. He's been a consistent scorer for them throughout this postseason. And at the end of the day, he's one of the key reasons why this team won. Obviously, we can always look at Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving for getting the job done. They've been playing great. Kyrie Irving, not so much in the scoring aspect, but his playmaking ability has been very good this postseason. But if you look at Luka Doncic, you can still tell he's a little injured, but he's getting healthier, and he's put up his best game of this, pretty much the series, dropping 29, 10, and 10 in the last game. We know those guys can do their thing. It's that at the end of the day, who's that third option guy that's going to step up? Doesn't always have to be PJ Washington. It can be someone else. And in this game in particular, PJ Washington hit those clutch free throws to win them the game. But also you have a guy like Derrick Jones Jr. dropping 22 points, 4 for 6 from 3. Also, not to mention, you have Derek Lively II off the bench with 12 points and 15 boards. Overall, these are the guys that I'm talking about. The third option doesn't primarily have to be a consistent guy day in, day out. It can be a guy that you never heard of dropping you and playing with some intensity. And that's what the Dallas Mavericks are doing, which is basically making them into the Western Conference Finals. So this matchup right now, first off, round of applause to both teams because they played phenomenal. Now, this matchup between the Dallas Mavericks and the Timberwolves is a very interesting and intriguing matchup in the sense where I don't even know who's going to win. I'm going to put my bet on, and we're going to get into this more on Thursday's show. I'm going to put my money on the Dallas Mavericks going further because obviously that's my guy's Luka, and I want to see him get into the NBA Finals and potentially win one. But at the end of the day, it's I don't see them having an answer for Luka Doncic, and he's getting healthier as the games are going through. I don't see him having an answer for Luka. I don't see him stopping Kyrie Irving. And at the end of the day, it's like those two guys are those two guys are the main reason why, the Dallas Mavericks have a good shot of winning. And also, if you look at their squad, I think if you look at Timberwolves and how they match up, you're going to have Anthony Edwards on, particularly maybe, I'm going to go Luka Doncic just for this. Mike Conley on, maybe Jalen McDaniels on Kyrie Irving, and Edwards on Luka Doncic. And then down below, you're going to have Rudy Gobert on freaking Daniel Gafford and Cat on PJ Washington. I think this is a good, it's going to be a good series for PJ Washington to step up. Cat is not known for his defense primarily. If he can be able to, expose that in this sense and play to the weight level he's been playing, because they're going to desperately need him. This is like this is the best team they're going to be versing. Let's just say that for the Dallas Mavericks, this is the best team that they're going to be versing based off of their two-way play. They play defense hard and they play offense hard. Pause. But overall, they play great intensity on both ends of the floor. And also, the Dallas Mavericks, this is like their first team in particular where, they have a big man defensive player of the year. Like let's be honest, they versed in the first round, they versed the Clippers. The only big man they really have is Zubats. And at the end, and versus OKC, they had Chet. Yeah, Chet was playing phenomenal, but at the end of the day, he was getting physical and he was getting bodied. So when you look at it, they're going to have two big guys in the paint, Cat and Rudy Gobert. If the bigs win their matchup, they pretty much have the keys to the series. But if they don't, it's going to be a lot closer than what we think. And I think it's going to be one of those games where both home teams are going to win, and they're going to go to a crucial game 5 where it's going to decide everyone's fate. So, quick little thing. The keys to victory for the Minnesota Timberwolves, I mean, at the end of the day, is just play their two-way game plan. Play with great intensity on defense as well as you do on offense. I think if you control the paint against this team, it's going to be very hard, because Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving don't need the paint to score. They can shoot from outside the perimeter. So you can't stop those guys. But if you can stop guys like PJ Washington from getting to the rack, you can stop guys like Derrick Jones Jr. from getting to the paint, like Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, I feel like you guys have a big chance, because we all know that they need that third guy to step up in order for them to win a 7-game series. And if they can stop that, the Timberwolves have the addition. And also Anthony Edwards is going to go off. So I don't even think that's a key thing, because he's automatically going to do it. But that's definitely one of the things to watch out for. Now, if you look at the Dallas Mavericks, their keys to win is pretty consistent to how they've been playing. I feel like for everyone, when you're trying to break down a game and be like, what are the keys to success for these certain teams, right? And at the end of the day, you look at it and you think, well, they got this far, so they got to keep on keeping on with their game plan. And honestly, there's not much to put across except for that. So I think at the end of the day, Timberwolves control the paint, control the rebounding. If you're up on the rebounding, you obviously won the game. And if you're the Dallas Mavericks, Luka and Kyrie need to do their thing. And I think if you need that third option to hold down. That's all it is. It's really that simple. At the end of the day, that's pretty much all it is for them. I want to say a stat before I say it. Yeah, and pretty much in most of their victories throughout the postseason, they've held their opponents to 105 points and less. So just to pretty much put that in consideration, the Mavericks defense is not to sleep on. Let's just say that their intensity is great, allowing teams to only score 105 points. I think a total of, I'm trying to calculate this in my head, this is off rip, 4 times in these playoffs so far in the first 2 rounds. So obviously their defense intensity has been playing great. Luka's been playing phenomenal defense, and the whole team is playing great. So the keys to the Mavericks is getting Luka and Kyrie Irving started, and overall getting that third option in terms of scoring. And I think they have a good shot of winning the series. Now, unfortunately, this is where the sad part of the show comes in. Where I don't want to discuss it, but I'm really happy that Eric's not here so he wouldn't rub it in my face, because if that's the case, I think I would just turn off my camera and not talk. But overall, I got to express this one game, because the New York Knicks unfortunately lost, guys. Yeah, I know. As much as I'm upset that the New York Knicks didn't win, they lost 130-109 in MSG in Game 7. as much as I'm upset that the Knicks lost, I got to give a round of applause because that's a hell of a season. They asked Jalen Brunson, a reporter asked Jalen Brunson at the post-game press conference after Game 7. They said, would you call this season a success? And he said, obviously, he said no. He said, it's not a success. He's like, did we win a championship? And he just repeated that. The reporter said no. He said, so it's not a successful story. It's not a successful postseason, not a successful season for us. And honestly, I love the mentality from Jalen Brunson. That's the mentality you want every one of your players to think. And at the end of the day, like when I think of that mentality, or when I think of the way he answered that question, I think of how Kobe Bryant answers questions. I think about how Michael Jordan answers questions. And I'm not doing this thing where I'm just going to relate and be like, Jalen Brunson is Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. I'm not doing that. Although Jalen Brunson did have 4 straight 40-point games in the playoffs, tying Michael Jordan for the most ever. But anyway, I'm not doing that comparison, guys, because at the end of the day, I'm just saying his response was very similar to the great competitors of this game. So at the end of the day, Jalen Brunson is putting a great example and being a great leader that he always is. So I got to give him his flowers on that. And also shout out to Fernando for popping out. He said, good job holding the fort. Thanks. Appreciate it. But thanks for popping out. A round of applause for you as well. But overall, I want to say a comment on the New York Knicks as a fan. Biased. I mean, honestly, this is an unbiased statement, but as well as it is biased, it's also an unbiased statement. It's just a factual statement. The New York Knicks, as much as I thought that they were going to win this series, overall, if you look at how many players got injured for them this season, it's really hard to say that this team was confidently say that this team was going to beat them, go to the NBA Finals or just go to the Eastern Conference Finals. You're talking about guys, 4 out of your 5 guys injured. 4 out of your 5 starters. 4 out of your 5 starters are injured in the last game of the season. In particularly this game, Game 7. Jalen Brunson left late in the third quarter with a fractured left hand. Like after that, they cut the lead to 8 points at one point, and after that, it was pretty much over once Jalen Brunson fractured his hand. OG Anunoby strained his hamstring in Game 2 of this series, and he didn't play until Game 7, and he only played 5 minutes and sat the rest of the game because obviously it was still aggravating him. Also, to put it, Julius Randle dislocated his shoulder in, I want to say, March in the regular season. Another key starter, Mitchell Robinson, sprained his ankle against a dirty play by Joel Embiid, which you got to boo him because he's freaking dirty. But he injured it in this postseason. Josh Hart sprained his abdominals. I don't even know how you do it, but he sprained it. At the end of the day, people are always going to be looking at it and be like, is it Coach Tibbs' fault? And if anyone knows, Tom Thibodeau. Is it Tom Thibodeau's fault for playing his players too much? And at the end of the day, I'm just going to say that's total BS. That's total BS. Sure, Thibodeau plays his players a lot. But at the end of the day, the players don't want to come out. Like, at the end of the day, like, you're talking about these guys that are getting paid to play. And if you ask every single one of those players on the court, do you want to get out for about a couple minutes, for like 5 minutes, only play 40 or 38 minutes a game out of 48, just so we can like rest you and just, God forbid, something happens? They're going to say, hell no. You're only playing 48 minutes in a game. And I know this might come out as ignorant, but at the end of the day, you're only there for a 48-minute clip. At the end of the day, you get home and you relax and you take another day of relaxation and rest. So I'm sick and tired of all these people saying that a coach overworks his players. At the end of the day, the players always want to play. And not to mention, most of these injuries that happened for the Knicks were not due to overworked or overload. A fractured hand is not considered from overworking your hand. He smacked it on someone's knee and fractured his hand. That's for Jalen Brunson. The only one I can really consider overworked is probably OG Anunoby because he sprained his hamstring. And obviously that's basically due to some movements. And if he was aggravating it and obviously putting a lot of pressure and minutes on it and running sprints, short distance, quick turns, it's going to aggravate it at some point. So that's the only one I can really look at it. If you look at their whole roster of injuries, Jalen Brunson fractured his hand against someone's knee, swiping down at the ball in this Game 7. You look at Isaiah Hartenstein. I forgot to mention Isaiah Hartenstein. He got injured in Game 7 as well. So once those 4 guys got injured, we all knew it was pretty much over. But you just got to respect the season that they had. Isaiah Hartenstein hurt his knee, and I don't even think it was related to anything running. I think it was just overworked. Not overworked. It was like hit or something. Also, Josh Hart, an abdominal strain. You're not getting abdominal strain from overworking or in terms of playing basketball like that. And I feel like I'm missing one more. And Mitchell Robinson, he hurt himself because he got friggin' pulled down by Joel Embiid. So if we're talking about overworked, 4 out of those 5 injuries that I just listed were not from overworked injuries. So we got to stop with this thing saying Thibodeau overworks his players, because at the end of the day, he plays players that want to win and then show the best definition of NBA basketball, or just show the best definition of how he wants them to play. So at the end of the day, we've seen Tom Thibodeau trust his teammates and trust his team and play guys like Miles McBride, who's come up clutch this postseason and this season, and Alec Burks as well when he had to. So I'm sick and tired of this narrative. People saying that Tom Thibodeau plays his players too much. Players want to play. They get paid to play. And at the end of the day, most of those injuries that happened were not due to overworked issues other than OG Anunoby's hamstring strain. But enough of that. Tom Thibodeau. He's going to sign an extension this offseason. I heard for $10 million a year. So shout out to Tibbs for getting that payday and overall coming back stronger for the New York Knicks. Because this team, as much as people are going to hate on them, and I know Eric's going to do that, and a lot of you New York Knicks haters are going to say the same thing, and you're going to be like, oh, your fans are so crazy. You guys think you're going to be NBA contenders. Next season, we're NBA contenders, NBA title contenders. And that's not crazy to say. A fully healthy New York Knicks team beats this Indiana Pacers team in 5 games. And that's not even crazy to say. Let's just put this in perspective. They were up 2-0 against the Indiana Pacers team. They won both games at home. They go to Indiana. That game 3, they only lost by, I think, 5 points, and there was a close game down the wire. They had a lead at some point. Jalen Brunson took a bad 3 at the end of the game, forced them to be up 2-1. So at the end of the day, you look at this team, and after that, it slowly declined 2-2, and then 3-2 Knicks, and then 3-3, and then 4-3 Indiana. So if you look at this squad, a fully healthy Knicks squad would beat Indiana in 5. They would go to Boston, give Boston a really, really tough issue. I don't know who comes out with that one. I want to say Knicks in 7 just because I'm a fan of them. But at the end of the day, they would give the Celtics a much more interesting game and a better chance of going to the NBA Finals. So at the end of the day, I want to praise the New York Knicks. They had a tremendous season, and they deserve all praise. And I know Jalen Brunson won't say that this is a successful season, but as a fan of this team and watching them throughout the season and how they handled injuries and how they still got this far with all those injuries accumulating, I got to give them their flowers and say that this is a team that performed very well, and they performed above expectations based off of the injuries that they suffered throughout the season. So I'm very happy with this New York Knicks team. And honestly, I can't wait for next season, because this offseason is going to be very crucial for them. I think the keys for them going into the offseason, add a couple of guys off the bench that can add that can develop into scorers and just play hard intensity Tom Thibodeau basketball. I say re-sign Bogdanovich. Also, another guy got injured. Bogdanovich, he got stepped on. So at the end of the day, we got to stop with this overwork stuff. But going back into this, you got to re-sign Alec Burks. You got to bring back OG Anunoby. You got to bring back Isaiah Hartenstein. Get like 1 or 2 pieces off the bench, that a veteran guy or a guy that can still put up minutes and play at high intensity. And overall, I think you have a great squad and basically title contenders going into next season. Anyway, going on to Indiana Pacers side. I'm just kidding. But before we do, I got a comment. Sasha, what's up, Sasha? What's going on? Appreciate you for popping out. She said, "How are you doing?" I'm doing good. How are you? I'm enjoying this lovely Monday, depending on where you are. I'm doing great. Thank you. Other than my team's losing, I'm doing great. Sasha said, "Are you a variety streamer?" Basically what this podcast is basically we talk about NBA, soccer, football, American football. We talk about all sports in a sense, and overall we talk about them, we analyze them, and yeah, we just have some fun with it. Have some comedic value into this. We have some fun with it. Usually, I would have my friend and co-host Eric Hines in this. So unfortunately, he couldn't show up today. But usually, we talk about sports, we debate, have a good time, and everyone in the comments is usually pops out and has great. So she said, "I just followed. Appreciate you, Sasha. Thank you." And she said, "So what more games do you play?" I mean, in terms of like actual games, I played like soccer, I play baseball, I play basketball. I played basketball for a little bit, but my height didn't obviously help out with that. um, I ran track. I played tennis. I golf a little bit. I'm not good at golf, but I like golfing. So I play all those sports. But she said, "Can you recommend me some new games to play?" Oh, I don't know. In terms of in terms of like actual gaming, like video games. I mean, I'm a big like, how do I say this? I'm a big Red Dead guy. So I love, like, if you love gameplay like that and loving playing campaign games, I would play Red Dead Redemption 2. But I don't know if you're into that stuff, but that's what I like. And said, "Oh, nice, appreciate you." She said, "By the way, I do custom artwork for streamers. It would be great if you can check out some of my recent work and give feedback on my work. If I would, it would be really much appreciated. It would be really appreciated." Yeah, of course, I'll check it out after the stream. I'll check it out. Me and Eric will look at it. Thank you, I appreciate it. She said, you have a Discord, so may I know what your Discord username is? I don't have a Discord, unfortunately. How do I put this lightly? I'm a 21-year-old guy that is trapped in. I'm a 21-year-old guy that's trapped in a 70-year-old mentality in terms of technology. So I'm not really too advanced when it comes to that. I don't know how to set it up, but I'm gonna figure it out as it goes. But we should get a Discord coming up, so I will hit you up and I'll tell you once that happens. But as of right now, we don't have a Discord. But Sasha, I appreciate all the love. You're great. You made my night. You made my night tonight. I appreciate you. And I will check out your stuff and get back to you. But anyway, and also, Sasha, you play any sports? I know this is related to this, but you asked me, so I thought it was polite if I asked you back. You play any sports in general that you want to share? But anyway, reverting it back to this game that happened, the Indiana Pacers won this game 130 to 109. And, as much as I love the Indiana Pacers and I'm not showing any hate at all, I don't know what you guys are thinking. I know you're hearing the boos in the back, but that's not controlled by me. That's just not me. It's just, unfortunately, like, the New York side is just clicking these buttons and the NBA's figuring out how bad the Indiana Pacers are. I'm kidding. Obviously, it's me controlling this, but the Indiana Pacers deserve some love. They played great. They fought really hard. And at the end of the day, the reason why they won is because they won the injury battle. When 4 out of the 5 starters of the New York Knicks are not playing, you're going to lose. It's just that simple. And when you look at the Indiana Pacers squad, with everyone fully healthy, you have Tyrese Halliburton playing a hell of a game, Nembhard playing a great defensive game and offensive game this game, Miles Turner healthy, playing great. Also, you have Naismith playing great, Pascal Siakam playing great, and not to mention they have one of the key things that we talked about that makes the Minnesota Timberwolves such a great team. They have depth. They have TJ McConnell, literally one of my favorite players to watch. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say this because he just beat my team, but he's obviously one of my favorite guys to watch, and he just plays with so much heart. And he's always like a gnat. He's like a mosquito, always like buzzing around you, and you're trying to swat it away, but he always comes back for more. So overall, TJ McConnell played a hell of a game, and he deserves all the love. 12 points off the bench. Obi Toppin, Jackson, TJ McConnell, just a bunch of these guys that produce numbers and put up minutes for these guys in this playoff stretch. And as much as people are calling this like a lucky road to the Eastern Conference Finals for the Indiana Pacers, which I do agree with that, because if it wasn't for the injuries to Giannis and Damian Lillard in round 1, Indiana will not advance to the next round. And also, if you look at the injuries that if none of the injuries happened to Jalen Brunson, Isaiah Hartenstein, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, we're looking at a Mitchell Robinson. We're looking at another squad where they can easily beat the Pacers. So the Pacers did get lucky in that aspect, but then at the end of the day, you're in the playoffs, and this is the name of the game. Luck has to be by your side. You need momentum, and the Pacers had that. But unfortunately, or fortunately, if you're a Pacers fan, they did what they had to do. They verse the Boston Celtics tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So check that out. I think it's on TNT. The keys for them to win, I think it's going to be really hard for them to win, because you just look at Boston. Boston has one of the easiest roads to the NBA Finals ever. They versed in the first round. Who they versed in the first round? They versed the Miami Heat, an injured Jimmy Butler squad, and they easily demolished them in 5. And then they go versus the Cavaliers, a team that's nowhere near their level, in the second round, and they easily beat them in 5 as well. And then they verse an Indiana Pacers team that has no experience in the Eastern Conference Final, And not only that, doesn't match up well against this Boston Celtics team. And if you look at on paper, the Boston Celtics team are a much better and successful and just overall better roster than the Indiana Pacers. And they're going to make it to the NBA Finals. So at the end of the day, I have the Celtics winning this, and I think they're going to win by at least. I'm going to give them 6 games. I'm going to be generous. I think the Indiana Pacers are going to put up a fight at home, but I think it's going to be too much. The Boston Celtics are going to be too much. They get Kristaps Porzingis back later in the series, and overall, they can get it done. So I got Boston winning in 6, just to be polite. But keys to success for the Pacers: keep up the high intensity. Let your guys, your bench players, you're going to have to play immaculate defense. If you thought guarding Jalen Brunson was hard, you're going to have to do it against 2 guys, almost 3, depending on Kristaps coming back, or Derek White. So you're going to have 3 guys that you're going to have to pretty much clamp every single minute of the game. And it's pretty much harder than just having one guy to clamp in Jalen Brunson. So it's going to be tough for them. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm saying that there's like a 99.99999% chance that the Boston Celtics advance. And I'm one of those guys that's in the 99%. So at the end of the day, and for the Boston, I think it's just keeping that defensive intensity and overall just play your basketball. Just don't overcomplicate it. Just play your basketball. So at the end of the day, Boston advancing. I got Boston advancing in 6 against Indiana Pacers, and they go into the NBA Finals for the second time in a row, because they versus the Nuggets last year, I believe. Something like that. I don't know. But and you move on to the Western Conference Finals, Mavericks and Timberwolves, just to recap this whole series and get it over with. I didn't go over the Cavs and Celtics game because that series was pretty much a duh. Like, no one really watched it, and the Celtics are obviously a better team, so there's not much to really talk about. But Mavericks and Timberwolves, we look at these 2 guys, and I already gave them their keys to success. Timberwolves is dominating that paint, getting those offensive rebounds and basically slowing down that third option from the Mavericks. And if you're the Mavericks, their key to success is getting that third option to really shine in the series like they have had in the last 2 rounds, and also having Luka and Kyrie doing their thing and playing with a defensive intensity that can pretty much clamp the perimeter guys and Mike Conley and Anthony Edwards and Jalen McDaniels and all those guys. So I think if they do that, they're in for a good treat, and also getting their big man involved. If they can dominate the paint, they pretty much have the keys to the series. So I have the Dallas Mavericks winning in 7, going to the NBA Finals, where we have a Dallas Maverick and a Boston Celtics NBA Finals. And if we look at these Eastern Conference Finals and Western Conference Finals, you have Luka Doncic first, who has a chance to win his first title ever. You have Anthony Edwards, who has a chance to win his first title ever. You got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown looking to make their first title ever, win their first title ever. And you got Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers looking to get their first title ever. So overall, there's a lot of great storylines for first. It's like, who's going to win it first? And I have to be continued because I got to see who advances first. But at the end of the day, guys, that's pretty much all she wrote in this episode. I want to appreciate you guys for tuning in right now. But if you don't go yet, because we're going to do our lovely games that we do towards the end of the show. But I just want to give a round of applause to everyone that's tuning in right now. If you haven't done already, make sure to hit that like button down below and subscribe if you're new. I appreciate y'all for just tuning in on a lovely Monday night. But let's get into these games. See if we can get them quick. And for anyone who's unaware what we do, basically there's like an NBA guessing game that we do. There's a soccer guessing game, and then there's, in fact, a football NFL guessing game. And basically what we do is that we're going to type a guy. My guy right now is Donovan Mitchell. I'm going to type him in. And obviously that didn't help because I was terrible. So we got to be more creative with it. Let's go with, in the West, I want to go Derek Lively. I know that's not even right, but okay, he's in the West, Southwest, center. Let's go Jabari Smith. Oh, he's a forward, really? So he is, in fact, 23 years old. 23 years old. Who's not the 23 years old. I'm trying to think. Spurs. Spurs. Who's in the division? It was Dallas, Houston, Spurs. Southwest. New Orleans, yes, and Memphis. So it's on New Orleans, Memphis, or San Antonio. Let's go with ooh, this is tough. Okay, a big man on. Let's go with Zion for fun. Why not? Zion Williamson. Zion. See if we can get a team. Okay, he's not on that. He's 23 years old, like we said. So he's on the Memphis Grizzlies. Let's go with let's go Jaren Jackson Jr. Oh, he's on freaking San Antonio. Great. That's fantastic. Who the hell's on San Antonio? Jeremy. Yeah, there he is. Trying to think of this squad. He's a young guy too. Okay. A young guy in the squad. We'll go, yeah, Collins, maybe? Zach Collins? I know he's on that squad. Of course. Of course, it's not him. Let's think. It's not Victor Wembanyama, because obviously Victor's like 7'4". I don't know. Go Victor, I guess, to close it out. Yep. Who the hell is this guy? No one knows him. Respectfully. Charles Bassey? Bassey? That's crazy. Mario, what's up, brother? How you doing? How's everything? Appreciate you for popping out. Next game, we got that one wrong, so that sucks. Let's get into the next one. Mario, we just talked about the New York Knicks losing, and I know that's unfortunate, but I'm pretty happy with the season that they produced. And we weren't expecting to win when 4 out of your 5 main starters lose. And it's just unfortunately, it's just the society that we live in right now with the New York Knicks cannot advance for some odd reason. What is this? I gotta change it. Wait, let me change. Where's the settings? Come on. Load. Wait. There we go. It goes right to hard mode. There's no easy mode first? Jesus. I'm gonna make it easy for us. Yeah, whatever. We're going hard mode. Jay said, without Victor, we wouldn't know the Spurs, so you win. Fair enough. Thanks, Jay. Appreciate you for popping out, too. He said, 2024 called Knicks fans to say it isn't 1994. Yeah. He's on a whole conspiracy. We're saying, like, the earthquake happened, and also that means the New York Rangers are going to make the finals, Stanley Cup finals, and the New York Knicks are going to make it back to the finals as well. So, like, unfortunately, that did not happen, and here we are. But listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I said this before. I'm happy for the New York Knicks season. I was not expecting them to get it done, especially when you have all those injuries happen to you. And, when you're going down into the final stretch of the playoffs, you need everyone healthy. And honestly, at the end of the day, the healthiest team wins in some cases. And the New York Knicks were just, they had so much injuries off the board. And at the end of the day, they were playing with like 4 men at some point. So you got to give them their props. They weren't expected to win with that amount of injuries overwhelming them. But it's a shame because we always look back, and if they were fully healthy, they're easily beating this Pacers squad in 5, and it's always the what could have been. Mario said, honestly, not even that upset about the Knicks because they did the best they could with all the injuries they had. Next year, they need to get bigger up front and get that second superstar. Yeah, listen, like I said, I'm not mad at it. I'm happy that Mario, you agree with me because we need that second option. I think I'm not a big guy in terms of trading for big superstars because of the fact that we give up a lot of value. If we're able to get rid of not a lot of value for a big guy, I'm all for it. But that's gonna be really hard to do, and because everything's overpriced now. But overall, I say you just run it back with your squad, because even if they had Randall, like, hear me out. I know people hate Randall, but if they had Randall in this squad, it diverts all the pressure on Jalen Brunson and it evens it out more. So at the end of the day, we're looking at it, and you know, if they had Julius Randle, they would make it a tough competition against the Celtics and potentially make it to NBA Finals. Jay said, I also heard like Giannis being upset. Maybe Giannis comes to New York, and that would be a crazy turn up in the NBA. Jay said, look at Indiana. They had key injuries to opponents in both series. It was a great season, but the Knicks will be okay. Yeah, no, listen, I appreciate everyone showing the love in the New York Knicks, because it's true. They're pretty much, out of all the teams that got eliminated this season, in this postseason, they're like the least amount that you got to be worried about because of the situation that they're in. They only got a couple guys they got to re-sign. Everyone's pretty much coming back, and they had key injuries that basically derailed their season. Mario said, don't worry, my New York Rangers will get it done for New York. Listen, the New York Rangers, as much as I love the Islanders so much, and the Islanders are always my number one, I'll root for the Rangers when they're in the playoffs, because they're the only New York team. There's not that much. I don't hate them that much. We said Bruno's. What did he say? Brunson can't do it. Do it all. He can't do it all. He's a warrior. It's all good. Yeah, at the end of the day, there's only so much that you can do, and they just couldn't get the job done. But there's always next season. You gotta be optimistic about it. But let's go into Weddle. Oh, of course, you're gonna give me a hard one, right? Pause. Okay, he's a tall guy. Let's go. He's on offense. Defense. Let's go with, I don't even know. Let's go with Xavier McKinney. Wait, no, he's in the AFC. Jeez. AFC. Let's go DJ Reed. He's on defense, which is a positive sign. He said this offseason will be key for the New York Knicks. Yeah, 100%. They need to get, I was saying they need to add another piece off the bench in terms of like scoring, and just a guy that can have great intensity as well, because they need that. I would say that this offseason, I'd say you go in for Mikal Bridges, bring back that Villanova squad. And people might be making fun of it, being like, oh, what is this, Villanova part 2? In a sense, yeah. But if you look at the team chemistry that these three guys had, Dante, Josh Hart, and Brunson, and you add another guy that they have great chemistry with, I think this team doesn't skip a beat. And not only that, Mikal Bridges is no scrub. He's a great defensive player. He's a great two-way player. Someone that basically is just a better scoring version of OG Anunoby. So you add him on the wings, he's going to be guarding pretty much. He can guard 1 through 4. Not a center, but he can guard 1 through 4. He said, where's your partner in crime? He's great. He graduated today. Shout out to Eric. He graduated today, so he didn't do it today. He's probably after dinner right now. So shout out to him. But I feel like we got to talk about it right now. I said, you think the Nets will trade Bridges to the Knicks? I don't think so, bro. Yeah, that's where it gets at. But I don't think our rivalry is that bad to the point where they won't trade him. Let's just say that. So unless he's a free agent. We'll see what happens. I don't think he's a free agent until next year. So I think you got to get that. If you get Mikal Bridges, you're pretty much set for the offseason. You don't have to make that much moves. Either you go crazy and get a superstar, or you sit back and you get like a guy like Mikal Bridges. I like that. I like that a lot without giving up a lot, obviously. But going back to Weddle, he's in the AFC. He's a defensive player. What are we thinking? AFC defensive player. AFC defensive player. Why am I blanking right now? Let's go Tyron. It's Matthews. Last name Matthews. Come on. There we go. Oh, he's defensive back too. Okay, that was a waste. Oh, he's in NFC. What's wrong with me? Why am I thinking NFC right now? Whatever. Okay. Mario said, honestly, I know a lot of people are against it, but I would try to go get KD, and yes, possibly would have to give up a few first rounders, but I would do it. Here's the thing. I don't like, as much as Kevin Durant is still a top player in the league in terms of scoring. I think he finished top 5 or top 6 this season. He's going to be, I think, 35 this next season. And at the end of the day, it's like at that point, when is he's gonna start to decline at some point, and I'm not gonna risk it and give up so much value for a guy that's already aging in that sense. But if he consistently plays like that, I don't see a downside to it. But I just don't see him consistently being that good, especially with a Knicks squad. I don't know how that would work. But anyway, back to this AFC. Okay, AFC South. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking so hard. I'm like so close to throwing in the towel right now. In the AFC. Let's go with the Chiefs. Who we got on the Chiefs? Let's go Nick Bolton. Okay. Not in the AFC West. He's got a big number, so he's a defensive tackle or defensive end. AFC West, AFC South. He's not in AFC East, not AFC West. We got the South and the North. Who's in the AFC North? Who's in the AFC North? AFC North. Okay, let's do AFC South. Let's go Jeffrey Simmons, Tennessee Titans. Okay, he's a defensive lineman, 6'4". He's in the AFC North. Who the hell is in the AFC North? Oh, Eric's favorite squad. Jay said there was talk on WFAN about the Knicks getting Booker. Yeah, no, I don't like that. He said, so go for it. He said, so go for it. This year we will have 7 first rounders. LOL. I don't like going for Booker because at the end of the day, I mean, listen, if we get Booker for I heard a trade value. This is why I don't like it, because I heard the trade offer for Booker, a potential one, getting rid of Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, another player, I think it was Isaiah Hartenstein or Mitchell Robinson, and a couple of firsts for Devin Booker. And at that point, I just don't think it's worth it. I don't think you trade away the big Villanova 3 that we have. I just don't think it's worth it. I would much rather have team chemistry over a potential superstar. And then at that point, we're back to square one if we don't win with him. So it's like right now we have a squad that we can somewhat build with, and the Knicks are in great area right now. New York, everyone wants to go to the Knicks. They're playing great. They're in a great market right now. They have players that are still young enough. They have great team chemistry, and they can be in this cycle of contending for a championship for a good 5 to 6 years. A great cycle because of how young they have their players around them. So I wouldn't go all in and risk it because we all know how superstar trades happen and what happens with that. Also, can't go into a season where Robinson is hurt all the time and OG is hurt all the time as well. Yeah. So we got to get fully healthy, and hopefully we'll see improvements to where Mitchell Robinson's always getting injured, which is very frustrating. But we got to see everyone get healthy and start from square one. AFC North. Let's think. Let's go TJ Watt. He's on Pittsburgh. Oh, let's go. Is it Hayward? Cameron. It's not Cameron Hayward. Who's on that line? Okay. Let's think. Who's on that line? Bud. No, not Bud Direct. Justin Fields. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, they recently got this. No. I don't know. Leal. Yes. I'm done. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I said keep the Hart and DiVincenzo. Keep the Hart and DiVincenzo, but I just don't think they are starters. But if they would be great coming off the bench, at least one of them for sure. The only reason why Josh Hart was in the starting lineup is because Julius Randle got injured. We got to remember that. So at least one of them off the bench is fantastic. Mario said, would you resign Hardenstein, say 20, 25 million a year? Because that's what he might get. It's tough, man, because Isaiah Hardenstein increased his value so much in this last couple of months. It's ridiculous. He's in contention for that much money. Just because I like him a lot and I think they have great team chemistry together, I would say do it. But at the end of the day, they're a negative 60 million plus in the salary cap. I don't know if they can. It's going to be probably either OG or him. And at that point, I would take OG. But it's tough. I would like both. Maybe Hardenstein takes on a discounted contract of 15 million a year. I don't know. I don't know what's in that locker room, but whatever. Dean Lowry. Am I really going to go over 2 right now? I'm trying to think of the offensive line. He's young. Oh, is the rookie that they drafted? Benton, right? Benton? Yeah, right here. Hey, there we go. That young guy that they drafted. There we go. Let's go. And last one, guys, to close out the show. Mario said, you might have to, especially with Mitchell Robinson always being hurt. Yeah, that's the tough thing. It's like, you got to look at it in this aspect. It's like, if you look at Isaiah Hardenstein as a backup center, you're going to look at 20 to 25 million and be like, that's way overpriced. But if you're looking at him and be like, hey, he's going to be a starter for this team, like, all right, that's a good number. Let's just say that. So it all depends on how you perceive and where he's going to be next year. And with Mitchell Robinson always getting injured, it's almost like he's going to be taking the starting position because Robinson's always inconsistent with his health. Let's just say that. And for the last one, let's get into some soccer. End it off, and hopefully, right now we're 1 for 2. We're not doing so good. Soccer. Let's go with the guy who won it, the Premier League this year, Erling Haaland in Man City. Not in the Prem. Awesome. Let's go with Modric. Not La Liga either, but he's a midfielder. Not that old. Let's go with, what league should I go with next? Is Sane listed as a midfielder? No. What is it? Let's go. I'm just going to pick one off this list. Sure. Okay, he's not on Liga. What other leagues do we got? Liga, we got Bundesliga, and we got Serie A. Let's go with Locatelli. He's in Serie A, and he plays for Juventus. Juventus. Chiesa. What's Chiesa listed? Forward. Chiesa. Serie A. I'm trying to think. Who's on the Juventus squad? They literally played Weston McKennie? No. Okay. Who's on that squad? They literally played today, and I saw a little bit of that game. Let's go with... Oh, French. Oh, he's not French, though. I'm going to go Rabo. What about Mirati? I think that's how you spell it. No. M-E-R. There he is, Fabio. Is he Italian? Yeah, he's Italian. What about Pirin? No. Keane? No. Kostic? Yes, it's him. Let's go. Freaking go, baby. He's 31 years old. Jesus Christ, he's old, man. There we go. Finishing out 2 for 3. Finishing out the show. Yeah. Oh, Mario, I didn't see it. Sorry, Mario. No. Close, but it wasn't those. At the end, he said, anyways, brother, thanks for the chit chat. Talk to you soon, brother. Appreciate you, Mario. Thanks for popping out. Just talking. Love it when you guys pop out. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And obviously, leave a like. Appreciate you, Mario. If you guys haven't dropped a like down below, make sure you do that and subscribe if you're new. But without further ado, guys, that officially concludes episode 268 of D&E TakeOver. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. And we'll see you guys back on Thursday. Hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day, enjoys the rest of their next couple of days. We got the NBA going on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We got Game 7 of the Oilers and Vancouver Canucks at 9 o'clock tonight. So a lot of playoff action coming on, and we're going to give it to you more on Thursday. So stay tuned and enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your next couple days. And without further ado, it's been your boy David, and we are out, guys. See you next week. Not next week. See you Thursday. Peace.